Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta taj'alul hazna idha shi'ta sahla. Allahumma a'inna ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husna ibadatik ya Rabbil Kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, hope you guys are doing okay. How many did we have in Cheetah? Did we have one before we got off?
Two.
We got two. We done two and then one in Canada, yeah? So this is lesson 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 lessons, yeah? Where's Dad gone? Is she late? 3 lessons, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10, 11, 11 and a half. 3 lessons. What's that? 4 pages a lesson. She's right in it. Is that good rate? All right. I thought it was a slow rate. I thought you get fined for slow over rates like that. All right then. So you got it on the screen. Shall I read it out from the phone, Shaz? Yep. Right. So today's text is. What did we cover yesterday? We covered the last thing that we covered, okay, from the text is in the Arabic, in the conditions of the prayer, اجتناب النجاسات, avoiding filth. ومن رأى عليه نجاسة بعد صلاته وجهل كونها فيها لم يعد وإن علم أنها كانت فيها لكن نسيها أو جهلها أعاد. Lift it up, Shaz. That was last week's. That if one observes filth on himself after the prayer but was unaware before that it was there, the prayer is not repeated. However, if he knew it was there and then later forgot or didn't understand, and we explained last week, didn't understand means he doesn't know what the ruling is, doesn't know that it's najasa, doesn't know, whatever, then the prayer must be repeated. Okay? But of course, we said something very different. Who actually made sure that they did last week's lesson? Who actually blagged it because there was nothing no one forcing them to actually be here. The smiles and say, oh, we won't do any more bestie. I don't roll like that. You watched it, yeah? Yeah, that's okay. That's exactly what we want. But there's about 7 people in front of you who didn't watch squat. It's a good thing I don't do people's bestie like that. Because I don't roll like that. Yeah, I'm not sure to be honest. Maybe I do. In Abu Dhar. So anyway, so that was last week. Anyway, let's do this week's session. We went into a lot of detail last week. It was a good lesson last week, lots of detail. Okay, so today inshallah what we're going to do is وَمَنْ جُبِرَ عَظْمُهُ بِنَجِسٍ لَمْ يَجِبْ قَلْعُهُ مَعَ الضَّرَرِ. Statement 1. وَمَا سَقَطَ مِنْهُ مِنْ عُدْوٍ أَوْ سِنٍ فَطَاهِرٌ. Statement 2. And then we're going to make a start inshallah into this list. ولا تصح الصلاة في مقبرة وحش وحمام وأعطان إبل ومغصوب وأصلحتها وتصح إليها. Okay? So, today we will cover, if one fixes a broken bone or something filthy, it does not need to be removed if it will cause injury. If anything were to fall off from him, such as a limb or a tooth, know that it remains pure. The prayer is not valid in a graveyard, a toilet, a hammam, a camel pen or pasture, land which has been usurped, stolen, frauded, whatever, and the roofs of all of the above places. However, the prayer is valid if prayed towards all the above. Okay? So we might get into graveyard and maybe the toilet, maybe. Okay, so today's lesson is all about focusing upon the physical najasa presence inside the body. So that sounds weird, right? وَمَنْ جُبِرَ عَظْمُهُ بِنَجَسٍ لَمْ يَجِبْ قَلْعُهُ مَعَ الضَّرَرِ. So Shaykh Uthaymeen on page 234. Hold on, we said you want to do some questions. Were there any questions that you guys had that were not dealt with? We dealt with it, صح? Yeah. And anyone who's by the way, people ask about the questions on the portal. Actually, I noticed Zafar and certainly myself, we've gone back and answered all of them. صح? Yeah. So if you guys put a question in, They are being answered, retrospectively, if I don't answer them in the lesson itself.
So do you want to create a system where at the beginning of every lesson we go back and just review any leftover?
I don't mind doing it at all. At the beginning of the lesson, going back and reviewing the questions. And I also said, is it the beginning of the lesson we said that can be open for other questions?
There's a comments there that said basically some of the students, they can't attend live.
Yep.
And so they ask the questions during the week.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, we've seen that, and we've been answering them. And if we miss them, then either I'll answer them live at the beginning, or I will write them. Myself and Zafar went back. I went back a couple of days later to the portal. What was the other stuff? What did we say? Did we say that we would answer questions on other subjects at the beginning or the end of the lesson? Outside of the lesson.
Which other subjects?
Outside of the subject of the thingy.
We said we're never
Oh, shut up, man. Unbelievable. What a hater. Just because Abu Dhar didn't like your food, yani, you don't have to hate on everyone else. You know what I mean? Oh my God. 6 hours he cooked. 6 hours he cooked. It's not about what you say. It's the language of love is in the face. If you no, you see, no, you can't fool it. I always told you that the heart is a very, very strong. It's a very strong what?
I'll never get an invite again.
What's the heart? It's a very strong. It beams. And the mood or fakeness can't hide it. You get what I'm trying to say? No? Let me start again. If someone is loving or hating or whatever, it doesn't matter what you put on the face, it will come through. Because the heart is a very strong, it supersedes physical emotion or physical expressions. The heart screams, the heart sings. So if someone cooks for 6, it's not fake news, it's so not fake news. Do I look like Donald Trump to you?
Or is this escalating, becoming more and more fake news?
Oh my God, does it look like I'm Donald Trump to you?
I don't know.
Can I just say that? Can I just say? Let me just show small hands. Can I just say? Can I just say? This is small hands, Osman. Small hands. Can I just say that I'm very happy to be here with you, and this is Mike Pence, the Vice President, and he's very happy to be here with you, and he sends, as you can see, he's very concerned, and the camera now looks at Melania Trump, his wife, and he's standing right next to him here, and he goes, as for Melania, I'm sorry that she couldn't be here, but she sends her condolences. And then the camera then pans to her and close up on her face, and she's going. That's fake news, bro. When you're trying to fake your wife standing next to you when she's right next to you, bro. Okay? Anyway, Shazad Salim cooked for Abu Dhar for 6 hours. Lot of effort, lot of love, and a lot of cost. Do not negate the cost factor. Because Shazad Salim doesn't buy the meat that we buy, you know what I'm saying? And Shazad Salim does not buy the butter that we buy. Shazad Salim buys organic. Yeah. There's this new concept out there, by the way, called grass-fed butter. Someone said to me, I'm on a grass-fed butter diet. I said, what else does butter come from other than grass-fed cows? What am I missing here? What does that mean? Anyway, Shazad's materials, and it's Michelin star grade materials. When he cooks, it's very serious. And he cooked for Abu Dhar. Abu Dhar put shikayat in a couple of weeks ago saying that he doesn't look after me, I've never tasted his food, he doesn't make mistake, blah 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 blah. Shazad Salim took that to heart. He's an emotional banda, he is soft-hearted. So he said, okay, spent the whole weekend preparing food for the guy. Abu Dhar just, obviously he tasted it, didn't like it. Yeah? and so what happened?
It was just the look on his face.
The look on his face.
And he didn't have to
Just one look. Didn't have to say anything else. Yeah, well, wallahi. Sank. The heart, it was floating, sank. Just sank. It's always the first reaction. You just see in the eyes. Even sometimes, when you got nose like a water, the nostrils flare a little bit.
I went for 3 sittings, man.
They flare a tiny bit to show whether the person's speaking the truth or not. Osman Bhai, what's happening here? Honestly, man, you guys, I'm telling you, if I'm honest truth, I'm in zero mood to teach the class because I'm just so happy to be back. I'm just looking forward to the chicken afterwards, to be honest. I was in Canada. It was very good. Windsor's very good. You know where Dad's hometown? It's a very nice place. It has the world's greatest airport. I promised that I was going to punish her because she insulted her airport. But then I got revenge on her mother instead. Can you believe that? I'm teaching a class where I'm praising the airport of the city. Can I just say something? This is important. You have to listen. Respect and thanks. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that whoever does not thank the people does not thank Allah. Windsor Airport is the greatest airport I have ever seen in my entire life. I recognize that 3 trips ago and 2 trips ago, and this time when I went to Canada, Americans got involved, as you can imagine. They tried to, hijack the situation, and they gave me a hard time. It took me 40 hours to get to where I got to. My bag anyways got lost along the way. My bag's gone actually, because my bag, mashallah, is good for immigration. Obviously I'm not. So bag got cleared all the way to Windsor, and there's me 25 hours behind it. Anyway, I'm telling you now, when a bag gets lost. By the way, my bag got lost on the way back as well. Just want you to know. Okay? And it's in Frankfurt somewhere. I've got a message, it's in Frankfurt. Just want you to know that. But there you go, you get a message on your phone, it's in Frankfurt, we think. And when I went to the baggage claim in Manchester Airport, and I filled in the form, and the guy put it into the system, tracking number using the baggage tag, can't find it. Not on the system.
Do you want some receipts?
Huh? No, don't some receipts. What a pack. That's an Usman line, do you want some receipts? You see, that went over your head, you see, but packs, you know what I mean? We know. When it comes to claiming, and blagging receipts, you see that guy went straight in. Anyway, so they said, we don't know where, but that bag got all my thobes in it, top thobes, it's got all my notes in it.
So what you ain't
Huh?
on?
Yeah. I had to downgrade today, So, in this bag are all my notes, because I've been recording all week, so I took all my notes with me. So I don't care about the rest of the stuff. It's got his tripod, I definitely don't care about that. Yeah. It's got some perfume in it, I care about that. But the books, the notes. Anyway, the point is that the message comes back and it says, we don't know where it is. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Anyway, I've since received a message that they found it. Allah Alam if it gets to me or not. I'm saying 25 hours I'm behind this bag. And it's gone to Windsor Airport. And he has all of my clothes for the entire week. What am I going to wear, Yara? Okay? I've got nothing else. My only bag. I arrive at Windsor Airport 25 hours after the time that I should be there. And as soon as I arrive, I walk out and I go to a woman on the check-in counter. I said, hi. I said, I've lost my bag, but I think it's come to, what's your name, honey? I said, Na'matullah. They said, I've seen that bag. Wallah, she said, I've seen that bag. She goes, come with me, love. She about to take my hand, about to give it to her. I said, okay, let's keep this perfect. I was going to say, Wallah, I was going to give her my hand. She was like an auntie, old woman. I said, what's the ruling here? But I said, let's keep it professional. Yeah. So I followed her very quickly. She was walking very, very quickly. I followed her. Took me through, went through security, which was like, there was nothing there, no one. Went through the hall, which is about the size of this Masjid, okay? And she takes me to the cellar. Down the stairs, and it opens the door. We walk in, there's about 15, 20 bags. There's my bag right there. She goes, is this one here, isn't it? I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, I saw it come yesterday, and I said, I'll look after that. What people here, Canadians, Windsorites. Banda theek hai. And I was, you know what, that service, that's an airport. That airport, when I fly from that airport, you know what time I arrived before my flight? 20 minutes before my flight. That's when I checked my baggage in. Long story short, it's an amazing airport. And because people, they lose their minds a bit, i.e. Widad, she started attacking that airport. It's the worst airport in the world. It's the dinkiest airport in the world. It's a horrible airport in the world. It's rubbish, this, that. That made me very upset. So then when I was teaching, I found out, someone told me, a little bird told me, this is Widad's mum in the class. I said, Rati. So I took revenge. We did some recording, called her out, blah, blah, blah. What are we talking about this for? I don't want to teach the class. I have a horrible time getting there, but then Windsor made me feel better. And then I did some shopping, that made me feel better. Ate lots of food, that made me feel better. And that's it, I'm back here with you lot. And it's raining, and it's dark, and it's cold.
Samir sent some chocolate.
Oh, sugar! What a shot! Samid! The guy Samid, the Don. You guys know who Samid is, right? Samid is our most famous Swiss student, Switzerland bandar,
who's
who is like yani world's yani he's our version of Abdul Qadir Khan. Is that the guy who made Pakistan nuclear bomb? Oh, is that not? I'm sorry. Let me not say that. Let's rewind that one. Okay, he's our version of. He's a CERN, CERN. I know that all you're thinking are SIRN, yani, but Amparlog, but CERN. He is a proper nuclear physicist, yani, bashing atoms and stuff, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he has brought and sent us some proper Swiss chocolate, bro.
When he came, he said, "Yo, I'm going to his class today." And I said, "He's in Canada, bro."
You saw him, yeah?
Well, I spoke to him.
Ah.
I didn't have time to meet him.
And this is this is why you should be always, everyone online, this is where you should be. Look, because this is Swiss chocolate. And not just Swiss chocolate. But no, Wallah wasn't reading the ingredients. You know me, bro, once I've got the gift, I'm eating first, Bismillah, then checking ingredients afterwards. Yeah? No, I was reading to try and work out in Swiss what the heck the difference is between them. You know me, I've got to get the best one. No, I've got to make sure that I get the right one, but for the love of God, I can't work out. There's 4 or 5 different colors. And I can't work out. I just got to make sure I don't get the dark chocolate, because I always end up with the dark flipping chocolate. Actually, there's a simple solution to this. Just take one of each. Alright, that's my haqq halal. Sorry. There you go. Okay. There we go. Where's Fazona? And there's our guest there, and that's our other guest, and that's Jiva. And I'm going to do this because I know that you lot are very greedy. That's Shazad, that's Zafar, that's Hamza, that's Isa, and that's the rest of yours. Okay, there's enough there for everybody. Okay, right. Yeah, I like this idea of doing this stuff before we do the class. Yeah, I like that. Any football on? Well, it's good to be back home. Not gonna lie. Wallah, nice to be back. Blue one is nice, yeah? Yeah? Okay. Right, anyone have any questions? Put on the portal. Huh? What's the difference? I didn't work it out, bro. Surprisingly, I know I'm a man of mega skills, yeah, but Swiss is not one of them. Swiss is not one of them.
The green light.
Bro, the green one's sick. Bro, green one is sick. Oh. All the same. Oh, right. Apparently they're all the same, boys. Hey, these are expensive chocolates, right? Leftovers are coming back to me, do you understand? My haqq halal. Ajman, obviously in your case I'm not, you know what I mean? Ajman's like, are you having a laugh? No. I tell you, Ajman, we'll swap them for some chicken that we've been promised for the last 3 weeks. Can you give some to Ijaz, I guess? Miskeen come from London. Ijaz, bhai, we bought you some chocolate, yara. Oh, come on, bro. What's all that prayer we have, yara? Alright, stop messing about, wasting time. Put the portal on, man. Come on. You guys all eating chocolate and wasting time gossiping. We've got a lesson to talk about. Right. Right. Yeah. Say that again? Wallahi, I'm not even joking. Do not say things like that. You know that my heart is weak. My heart is weak. When people say things like that, let's cancel the lesson and go for chicken. I will do that kind of thing. Do not push me. Do not push me. I know he's gonna say, oh, when we get there, oh, it's closed, oh, my brother's shop, oh, I was lying all along, it wasn't me, I had a share in it, 10%, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Man claims he's got a chicken shop, and yes, I'm not gonna lie, all the Masakeen who are watching this online, you're just literally sitting there doing nothing, watching us eat chocolate. That's exactly what you're doing right now, and that is how we roll. Come on, Islam, that's nice chocolate, Yara. What are you hating for? No? You don't like it? Lovely, yeah? That's what you want, I don't. Oh, it's lovely. Right, anyway. Okay, let's talk about. Oh, subhanallah. So the majority of cows are fed grain as opposed to grass fed. Is that true? Huh?
In farms, probably.
How do you stop a grass eating a cow eating grass? For the whole life, they're going to eat grains and not grass. Yeah. Meaning that that cow has not been fed a grain. And a grass-fed butter means that the cow was only fed grass. So grain is cheaper than grass.
Cows that graze fresh grass in season and cured hay.
Like, don't pretend like you don't know. It's only one that you have, bro. Behave yourself, man. Have you guys hooked up my boy Ijaz or not?
Chocolate's lost in Ali.
Wallah? No, Yara. We look after Ijaz, bro. There you go. Look at 2 for guests from London, Yara. How you doing, Ijaz? You okay?
I'm not yes.
Right. Where's the Sheikh Abdul Ghaffar? What happened? Okay. Let's do some lesson. What do you think? Right. So, Sheikh says on page 234, he said that, so for example, a person breaks his bone, he's outside, he's in the rough, in the wild or something, and he breaks his bone and he needs to make a splint or, I don't know, some kind of Rambo behavior basically. Yeah, and he's made himself a splint or a is a technical term a splint? If you were to get a bone and graft it. Yeah? Splint. So
you get a what? A bone, huh?
so the idea is that your bone has, like, imagine you fell and you cracked your thingy completely in half,
Yeah.
and you've basically you either find you just find a dog bone
Okay.
and then you graft it effectively. You tie it together to hold your arm in place. Let's like go, yeah, okay. So you put it there, and then you tie a rope around it. Okay, that's the issue basically.
You don't think without a chocolate?
But that's not even April.
All right.
Yeah, and I couldn't care less, right? And so he uses a dog bone, for example, and he fixes the human bone. So now what's happened is that we have now introduced a filthy najas bone to the body, and it's now very tightly connected to the body as well now, okay? And the Sheikh's going to explain that could be actually inside or outside. And so now it's time for salah, and we know that it's not possible for him to pray in this state because he's carrying najasa. That's what we've been covering for the last few weeks, the concept of carrying najasa, whether that's a najasa on the clothes or on the body or whatever. Is that clear, everybody? Yeah? So here, he's actually got it as a splint, so he has to remove it. That is the obligation. He has to remove it because removing najasa is an obligation. End of story. However,
So is it due to because of the animal body?
it's due to the fact that it is impure. A dog's bone, like we said, there's other animals which are pure, so a cow bone or something like that. We said last week that any animal that is halal to eat in its normative state, its yani bone and so on is pure as well. So this is a dog bone, a pig bone or something like that. So now you've got to remove it for salah. Okay. Now, what if someone says to him, if you remove it, then you're going to cause an injury or harm that's going to create lots of pain and also ruin the chance of it actually getting better, the original one. Maybe let's say it's started to heal or something as well. That's the issue that's been put in front of us. So he's now got the najasa set in, and he can remove it, but it's going to cause harm. So what do? You take one for the whatever, okay, and you harm yourself and you remove it, or what? So the Sheikh says, we say لا يجب قلعه حينئذ, and we say then it is not obligatory to remove it, meaning it is permissible, okay, but it is not obligatory to remove this najas, yani implant in your body. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed a person to not make wudu if there is a fear of some kind of harm. Alright? So we know that is a ruling, that if there's some kind of, water is very cold and you're outside, not much clothes, very cold, or you got huge kind of dermatitis, inflammation, whatever, or wound, etc. So we know that it's permissible to leave wudu if you have some fear of harm. And as we covered and explained last week, that to leave something which is obligated, يعني ترك المأمور, as we say, to leave something which is obligated is a very serious matter, and it's not as serious as not doing a prohibition. And so if you are allowed to leave something which is obligated, then what we say min bab al-awla, then of course you are allowed to do something which is prohibited. Does that make sense? If a scenario, I repeat, and this is the conclusion from last week, and Shaykh Uthaymeen explained this in detail. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, go back and review last week's lesson. That if the if you are allowed to leave out an obligation in an extreme scenario, then to leave out not doing the prohibition is something which is less than that. Therefore, he says, if wudu can be put aside, then we can also leave the najasa in, okay, because of the harm. Now, the question should be asked: so what happens now then? It's inside, okay, or let's say that it's the wound is open, and we can't make wudu on it because it's hurt, it's open and whatever. What do? Do you make tayammum for it? You remember in the chapter of tayammum that the whole section is about discussing tayammum itself is a replacement for wudu. Okay? But if you have one arm which is, burnt or something like that, then we have different rulings. If it was covered and you can't take the cover off, then you wipe over it, and that's in the section of wiping. And we covered over many weeks that concept, as well as if you can't wipe over it, then it's permissible for you to make tayammum for a limb to cover that and make wudu for the rest of it. And there's a discussion of the scholars over that. So what about this najas limb now that is now got a dirty, filthy bone that's connected to your actual bone? The Shaykh says that as-sahih la yajibu at-tayammum, that the correct position is that it is not obligatory to perform tayammum. Okay, and in fact he goes, actually it's not even legislated. It's not even tayammum is not even legislated in the case of impurities. It is not legislated in the case of impurities. That's the position of Shaykh Uthaymeen. The Hanbali school, they say something slightly different. They said that if the wound has healed, and so now the filthy bone is inside, and is part of the, it's like you got a pig bone or you got a dog's bone inside now, and it's started to cover up or it's hidden. So in this case, there is no ruling. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, there is the is inside, is to be ignored. But if the wound was open and you can see the dog bone and is healed, meaning that the bone is now fused and you cannot remove it, but the wound is open, then the Hanbali school says in this case you make tayammum for the limb. You make tayammum for the limb itself. Okay? So for them the issue was whether the najas bone is showing or not. Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says, but the correct position is no doubt that najasat, you don't make tayammum for that. That when it comes to having filth on it, you either get rid of the filth or you can't get rid of the filth. Tayammum itself has no play in this. This is not an issue about not making wudu. And this is a very accurate point, and it's a difficult point if you do not get the issue that wudu and tayammum is not about cleaning yourself per se. It's a ritual act that you're doing because of some necessity. Think about it rationally. Hitting the floor once, and a floor that doesn't have to be muddy, but something that's got very little dust like concrete or plaster. Not plaster, but also dust. Concrete, which is tiny dust, like hardly anything. And just striking it once, not even rubbing your hands on it. Yeah? So just striking it once and not having to go full, but your full flat palms, but just striking it like that. And then wiping your hand off, in the narration of Bukhari, dust it off, and then the turn. You're not cleaning anything with that. There's nothing on your hands you're cleaning. So people need to understand that concept. Cleanliness and purification are two separate concepts. And so he says, وَأَنَّ مَنْ كَانَ عَلَى بَدْنِهِ نَجَاسَ وَتَعَذَّرَ عَلَى غَسْلِهَا فَلْيُصَلِّ بِدُونِ تَيَمُّمٍ. So if there is a person that has some kind, and this is an important rule, make sure you write it down and make sure you remember it, that if there's a person who has najasa upon his or her body and they cannot wash it off for some kind of reason, impossible, or too painful or too wounded or whatever, it is not, they pray without tayammum. Tayammum is doing nothing here. Tayammum is not actually legislated at all. Okay? and that's because, and this statement is gold, لأن التيمم إنما ورد في الطهارة الحدث لا في طهارة الخبث. That tayammum has only been sent down and it has been revealed to us and it is to be used for us in spiritual purification, not in physical purification. Okay? As I said, this is an ablutionary act, an act which is ritualistic. It's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's ma'nawi. It is symbolic. Ahsan, that's the exact word I was looking. It's symbolic. You don't clean anything with it. Okay? Yes. In this scenario of wiping on it, I think the idea is that you can't touch it. The idea here is that there's some kind of problem, so much harm that you can't even physically touch it. Okay? And then the Shaykh then says, وَمَا سَقَطَ
So you're talking about grafting or splinting here?
Both. That's why I was telling you, I was just grafting is a procedure. I mean, the understanding here is that this is happening like all of a sudden. You're thrown into a situation.
Yeah, so you'd splint it, you wouldn't grafting is just...
Yeah, which is why we use the word splint.
But then you prescribe it...
So grafting, as I said, is a more procedural kind of thing. Yeah, someone else is involved, and doing that. Yeah, I mean, correct. Yeah, you're right. A splint is understood to be just, something tied to it which you get rid of. But we're talking about now something that's been used in emergency to splint and then it grafts. It fuses. Grafts meaning it fuses. It becomes like a pseudo graft.
Really bad splinting.
I mean, bro, the situation's pretty rough, you know what I mean? People are reading that and thinking, who goes and fixes their broken anything with a dog bone? I mean, it's a madness from the beginning. So, the next one's a madness as well. And actually, Shaykh Uthaymeen actually says, I know you're all thinking it's a madness, and this is the reason why we're talking about this. So, you will get to it. Where's the translation, just for a second? Then he says, and if anything were to fall off from him, such as a limb or a tooth, know that it remains pure. What do you think the reasoning for that is? Why is there even that sentence?
Because it would make our job a lot more difficult to reimplant a tooth once it's healed.
Are you being serious or are you just messing about?
I'm serious.
What's the serious answer? Stop playing around, man. We've wasted enough time as it is. Come on, what's your answer? Shaz fell for the oldest trick in the book. The oldest trick in the book. Little bit of pressure and he collapsed. It's exactly that. It's exactly what he said first time round, but just put a bit of zor upon him and he just so for a dentist, if the tooth falls out, the ruling here is about putting it back. It's not about what happens afterwards. Who cares whether it's dirty or not dirty afterwards? The point is that if your tooth falls out and you need to reimplant it, it's pure. It remained pure when it came off and is pure when it back in again. And the scenario, they said a limb. I can't think of a limb being taken off. Maybe the hand. Maybe, for example, you had an accident and the hand got chopped off, finger got chopped off, and you're reattaching it, tip of an ear. You went a couple of rounds with Tyson, you got a bit carried away and did his behavior.
I thought you were talking about the same guy that had the dog bone.
No, this is not the same guy. This is not the same guy. Ragabag doggy bone guy. This is someone else. So that's what this part is. This is what this part is for. What's the basis for that, folks? Okay. So the reason for that is because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna al-mu'mina la yanjus," yani that the believer does not become filthy. The believer does not become filthy. Okay, or he's not filthy. Both of these meanings are acceptable. Yani he is never impure. The believer is never impure, or the believer does not become impure, or the believer is not. And what we're talking about is physical. Okay, what we're talking about is physical. All right. And the Prophet and Shaykh Uthaymeen, he said, and that's regardless whether the person's alive or dead. It doesn't matter. The believer remains like that. And that's why, if you remember, when we spoke about the issue of doing ghusl for the dead one, okay, the one who's passed, we also said that this is not yani, because some scholars said that it's obligatory to make a ghusl after you've washed the mayyit, after you've washed the the deceased, and that's not the case. Also, we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that ما قطع من البهيمة وهي حية فهو ميت. That the Prophet ﷺ said that whatever has been cut off from an animal whilst it was alive, then it is carrion. Okay, and what does that basically mean? It means that the actual thing itself, it becomes impure. It takes the ruling of impurity. We said carrion itself is something that shouldn't be touched, especially not ingested, and so on. We want to mention a few things about this hadith, by the way, because it's an interesting. We haven't done a hadith study for a while. If you look at this, is at the bottom of page 235. The reference is mentioned as number 3, and have a look at this. It's narrated by Imam Ahmed and by Imam Abu Dawud in the book of hunting, okay, and in the book of foods, on the authority of Zayd ibn Aslam and Ata ibn Yasar and Abi Waqid al-Laythi bihi marfu'an. Ata ibn Yasar, of course, and Abi Waqid, these are companions, and Zayd ibn Aslam is a tabi'i, and he's a major tabi'i. In fact, he's imam of tabi'in. His father, Zayd ibn Aslam, his father Aslam, he used to, if you remember, he was the Mawla of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab. Mawla meaning the freed slave, okay, and he became a scholar. And Zayd ibn Aslam, one of the major imams, he narrated from Abdullah ibn Umar, from Jabir ibn Abdullah, from Anas, from the younger companions. He was one of the younger tabi'een. He's not one of the original tabi'een that we say tabi'een are in 3 generations. Okay, you have imam, you can still be an imam of the tabi'een generation, but depending upon the Sahaba that you meet, there's a difference between those who met Abu Bakr and those who met the original older companions, and then those that are mostly hanging around with Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas, who are the very much younger ones. Okay, Zayd ibn Aslam, one of the imams of Medina, and he is therefore also one of the teachers of Imam Malik. Imam Malik narrates from Zayd ibn Aslam huge amount of times. Okay, he's one of the narrators of Bukhari. We're talking Imam, Hujjah, Thiqa, and he's the king of hadith. Anyway, so look at some of the opinions on this. Bukhari said that this hadith has been preserved, meaning it is a correct hadith. And Imam Tirmidhi, he said that this hadith is good, but it comes in a solitary way. It is gharib, meaning that it has come in a solitary way, meaning that there's not many chains. He specifies that. He says that we do not actually know it. We do not know of this hadith to have been narrated except through Zayd ibn Aslam. So Zayd ibn Aslam is the focus of this statement, only through Zayd ibn Aslam. And then there are other, and then Abu Zur'a al-Razi, one of the muhaddithin, one of the hardcore nuqqad, we say, naqid, meaning he's one of, as we described before. Obviously new students will not know that phrase. Muhaddith is an expert of classifying hadith, whereas a naqid is a specialist in hadith and being able to tell immediately whether hadith is authentic or not. They know the style of hadith, they know the people, they know their knowledge. It's the very highest level possible. When you reach naqid, you become the greatest of the great. Okay, and we have not many nuqad in history. Imam al-Bukhari was naqid, for example. Imam al-Daraqutni was naqid. Okay, so Abu Zur'a al-Razi, okay, he is one of the major muhaddithin. He said that this argument that the hadith is mawsul, meaning that the hadith is connected all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ as a prophetic statement, he goes, this is a bit of a dodgy statement. Wahm means that this is unlikely. Okay, there's problems in this argument. And so then there carries on a big discussion and some criticisms of some of the narrators. And if we turn over, then this is what's interesting. At the back, at the end, we have Hisham ibn Sa'ad, who Ibn Hajar said that he was truthful, he has mistakes, وَرُمِيَ بِالتَّشَيُّعِ وَرُمِيَ بِالتَّشَيُّعِ, which is relevant as well in hadith sciences, that he was considered, and tashayyu', I want you to understand, tashayyu' linguistically means that he was Shia, or he was kind of like Shia, pro-Shia. But that is not what it means. That is not what it means, and that's a problem, of course, because especially in later times, that's a major problem. But in earlier times, it wasn't such a massive problem when it comes to the concept of hadith, because it wasn't so that they became the Shia of what you know today. It basically, when you say someone has tashayyu', it meant that at that time of the early kind of Muslims, the early kind of sciences, he was favoring Sayyidina Ali more than a person should. He was favoring Ali in a legal form, in a political form, in a military form. He was supporting them against the others, whether it was Hassan Hussein involved in something. Basically, it is not of the level of kufr and shirk that we talk about today. However, of course, for the hadith scholars, when they are making a biography about a person, they're getting every single tiny piece of information down to help make a judgment call. Are we going to say this person is a solid narrator, everything, or are we not? So you can see that Ibn Hajar is using this to build an argument. He said he has awham, and he is also accused of having a little bit of partisanship towards Ali. He has his mistakes and that. So we're bringing his quality down. And then the final statement, وَرَجَّحَ أَبُو زَرْعَةَ الرَّازِي وَالدَّارُقُطْنِي, and that's very important. Imam Daraqutni and Abu Zur'a, they said that after all of this study, in our opinion, this hadith is mursal. This hadith is mursal. What's hadith mursal? Remind me? No companion. No companion. Okay, the companion's name has been left out, and the tabi'i is quoting the Prophet ﷺ directly. He might insert the name of a companion, he might because that's what he thought, or maybe he made a mistake, or even sometimes in a really disastrous case he says it intentionally. But this hadith mursal is a category of hadith where even a major imam, he quotes the Prophet ﷺ directly, usually because he has heard the hadith somewhere else but cannot remember who told him, usually because he believes the hadith to be authentic. That's what they would normally do. Mursal hadith, are they authentic or weak? They are weak. Okay, they are weak hadith because there is a person missing in the chain, and not only a person but the most important person. Not actually, that's not correct, not the most important person, because a companion between if you have hadith and you have inqita'a, a break, and when you study hadith you've got breaks, okay, in the chain, and the qata or inqita'a in a chain of people can be at the later end after 200 years or after 100 years or at the top. But the difference is that at each generation the people quality is different as well. So for example, if there is someone if there's someone missing, like let's say Imam Bukhari narrates from so and so, who narrates from so and so, who narrates from so and so, who narrates from a tabi'i, who narrates from a companion, then the second or third person that Bukhari took it from, this person is actually really important. And when you really get down to the issue, this person is really important because this person has the potential of messing everything up. Okay? And we don't have much confidence in this generation because we're quite far away now from the blessed 3 generations. Whereas if the companion is missing, then it's only the tabi'i that's going to have most likely missed him. And we have some major imams of tabi'in that were so prominent in their narrating of hadith and that's why, for example, the position of Imam Shafi'i is that Sa'id ibn Musayyib, who is Imam of Tabi'in, his marasil, his mursal narrations are not even considered to be weak according to some scholars, Shafi'i hadith scholars, because he's so spot on and so studying with the companions that his statement is like, even if he doesn't mention the companion, it's like impossible for us to think that he didn't take this statement from a companion. So actually the companion missing is not as deadly and not as damaging to a hadith authenticity as it would be where there is a break somewhere else. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, it seems therefore this hadith is weak, okay, because the majority of mursal hadith are all weak. Only that of Hassan al-Basri sometimes, or Sa'id al-Musayyib, for example, they said that they're okay. Anyway, I just wanted to do... Sorry? No, a hadith can be shadh either in its chain or in its meaning. So it needs to be proven to be shadh, odd. Okay, so based upon that then, so this is something which is interesting. Shaykh Uthaymeen then says on page 236, he goes, therefore the scholars, they took a maxim, a qa'idah. They established a principle that وهي ما أبين من حي فهو كميتته حلا وحرمة وطهارة ونجاسة, that whatever is cut off from something living, then it is like when it is dead, whether that's with respect to its permissibility or its impermissibility, its purity or impurity. I repeat that again. Whatever is cut off or removed yani carved off, cut off, whatever the word is, okay, from a living, from a living person, okay, then it is the same in, it is given the same ruling whilst it is dead or whilst he is dead, yani the thing itself is the same, okay, both in its sanctity, in terms of halal and haram, both in terms of its purity and najasa, it's the same, okay, and the dead, human dead flesh, human dead body is pure. Human dead body is pure. The previous rule applies to everything, okay? The previous rule applies to everything. So a cow is an animal which is halal to eat. So if you were to, for example, mutilate a cow whilst it's alive, then it's first of all, it's something which is haram, and we've said that in the previous hadith, that it is haram and it becomes najis because of the action itself. It's just like, I know this is a bit complicated, so bear with me. You know that a cow is a halal pure animal, yes? If you sacrifice it, slaughter it, it becomes halal to eat, yes? If it was shot dead, is it halal to eat? No. If you found it in the field, a stone had fallen on it, a boulder from the hill, the head had been crushed, is it halal to eat? No. Even if you get to it and you cut it, halal to eat? No, it's called carrion, it's dead meat, it's maita, okay? Quran very clear about that, hadith very clear about that. Or if you get to it, it's still breathing, and then you cut it, you slaughter it, then it's halal, okay? That's the principle of hunting. That's why we send things out to hunt. It gives it a near-death blow, or the concept of stunning. You get to it quickly enough, you slaughter it, then the animal becomes halal, alright? So, a cow, if you were to mutilate it whilst it was alive, you've done a haram action, and the thing that come off it is najis. That's what we have established. As for the rule that we've established, that whatever is taken from a living animal, okay, from an animal, its ruling remains the same, whether it is alive or whether it is dead. It becomes najis. If it was najis, so if a dog is najis, then it is najis afterwards. Its sanctity is the same in terms of purity or non-purity. It remains whether the piece is attached to a living animal or it's separate in terms of death. As for the human being, it's the same. Human being is pure all the time, okay? Pure all the time. Why is this important? Because we're going to, I don't think today, but we're going to come to talk about being in the grave, in the graveyard, And when you're praying in the graveyard, you will see that the ruling, we're going to get to it? Actually, we are going to get to it. Okay, we'll carry on. So, then, therefore, the limb itself is pure. So if someone's hand gets chopped off, you pick it up, you protect it, it's pure. It is clean, and we want to make sure that we get that to on ice to the surgeon who's going to put it back. Same with the finger, same with the ear, same with anything that falls off in an accident. You want to protect it because we want to put it back, and it is pure to handle as well. Also, not only is this important, a reminder that everything is to be treated with respect as well. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made that very, very clear with respect to bones, okay, and the dead body. That's why the dead body is washed very carefully. That's why it is lowered into the grave very, very carefully as well. That's why the Shaykh said sanctity, the same, the sanctity of the human or the human is the same in life and death. Okay, you don't break the bones whilst he's alive. You don't break the bones whilst he's dead. Okay, that's why. Remember, when you make ghusl of the mayyit, you are not trying to. You're not only washing the entire body, but the orifices, of course, they need to be cleaned, and the intestine will have the remains of, food and so on, and feces, whatever. And it's not possible to empty out the whole thingy. That's not the intention. You're not there to empty out the whole thingy, right? The whole intestine and the stomach and the bladder, okay? But whatever is in the lower aspect, near the anus and so on, that needs to be cleared out because that will leak, okay? And so you will then manipulate the body gently to ensure whatever is at the closest end of the orifice, it comes out. And that happens in the process. You see people get carried away. You see literally them massaging the stomach, to try and push everything down. So you might need to do that, to help it, because peristalsis and all the rest of it, all that process is now gone. But I don't know, Yani, what kind of level, what is the nature of a dead body in terms of peristalsis, in terms of actual pressing upon physiologically. How long does it take muscle to die off completely? I'm sure it dies off immediately. I mean, you'd expect that muscle to die immediately, yeah. So anyway, so you got to be very careful with the body when you're thinking. And this is, of course, what I'm talking about is the basis for why autopsies are impermissible. Only if absolutely necessary in a criminal case. Now you get the option of CT scans, and you have to take that option of CT scans. You need to request it. You can't just automatically be lazy about the issue. MRI scan or CT scan? MRI. Sorry, MRI. Beg your pardon. MRI scan. If there is a suspicious kind of thingy, they give you the option, but you can't just say yeah, sure, go ahead. Being polite, whatever. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that they're like our butchers, yani. They do, they are professional, but once you start getting in that game, in an autopsy, they need to do lots of different things. It's not like a little cut. It's like the full aliens behavior, bro. No need. I've got aliens in my mind. What's that?
If you can afford it, obviously, it's quite expensive.
I think some councils don't charge for that. No, but not obligatory. Few £100, not a few £1,000. And by the way,
it's £500 for a living. For the dead.
صح. But no, there's another point there as well. In cases of criminal thingy, why is the cost upon you? Right, yeah, good, yeah, okay. So in a criminal investigation, they want to do criminal thingy, they want to open it up, and they make you.
I don't think.
Huh?
Yeah, I think in a criminal you won't get away with an MRI. This is basically death caused because of a.
Yeah, that also makes sense. In a criminal investigation, I don't think you can blag getting away with the yeah.
This is basically death of a healthy person that suddenly died.
Yeah.
Without a reason.
Yeah.
They want to know why he died or she died, and so they will insist on an autopsy. But also the Jewish community also very insistent on MRIs rather than autopsies as well.
Yeah. Jews, yeah? Yeah. When the cause of death is not clear. Yeah.
So, £1,000
is the cost to avoid doing an autopsy. UK £1,000. All councils, a national cost, or is that council by council?
BBC recently
Right, £1,000. I don't know. All right, okay. Sheikh then said something interesting. He said that we've said that the limb itself is pure if it falls off, which is fine. He goes, but some of the scholars said something very strange. Actually, to be honest, I think it's the majority. He goes, they said that there is an exception to this rule of what comes off from a human being is pure, and that is blood. They said blood is najis. Now, you've probably heard that before. There's a concept generally amongst Paks and whatever, most people, that blood is najis. As soon as it comes out, it breaks your wudu. Soon as it's on your clothes, you've got to wash it, etc., etc. And we spoke about that in length. But listen to what Shaykh Uthaymeen says. He says that. He says that what these scholars say is that anything that comes off a human being, it is pure, except blood. Listen very carefully to this. This is very accurate. This is very important. Except blood which comes out, which is najis, although a small, insignificant amount of it is pardoned. So he's saying that it is najis, but he's adding a caveat, which all the scholars did, by the way, that small amounts of blood that are on the body or on the clothes, they are pardoned. So they're not going the full hog and saying it is complete najis. And here's the reason why. لأن الدم ليس بولا ولا غائطا. And the reason that a little bit is allowed, that we pardon it, is because blood is neither feces or urine. It doesn't take the same ruling as that. Okay? when you look at blood, when you look at urine and feces, they are the waste material from food, the extra leftover yani waste material from food and drink, which has no benefit for the body, which is why it is being excreted. You can't take anything else out of feces and whatever, for the body it is, which is why it is being excreted. And so these scholars continued, they said in the dama, but blood is neither a waste product that they said. So listen to this carefully. They said blood is neither a waste product which has no benefit for the body, and neither وليس من الجسم نفسه الذي and neither is it from the body itself intrinsically that is fed by blood. And blood of course goes round and it maintains the organs, right? Blood's job is to carry around oxygen and nutrients to feed organs. So what they said is that blood itself is a category in between two categories. It's neither a waste product which is excreted from the body, and it's neither part of the body so that it's serviced by blood. Okay? This is what they said. Okay? And that's why they gave it a ruling in between the two. So they said فَقُلْنَا لَيْسَ كَالْعَدْوَ الَّذِي يَنْفَصِلْ وَلَيْسَ كَالْبَوْلِ وَالْغَائِطِ فَهُوَ النَّجَسُ يُعْفَ عَنْ يَسِيرِهِ. So therefore we gave it a ruling in between two rulings. It's not like urine and feces, so that we say that it's completely najas and it's his waste product, and it's not like a limb which is cut off, because it's not a limb, and therefore we're not going to say it's pure. That's their argument. Now before Shaykh Uthaymeen says what he says, I just want to challenge that. Is that correct? Yeah.
So that clearly saying dam is haram.
Yeah, haram.
Haram.
Yeah. Haram. Not yani najas.
But then again,
how long do we debate and discuss that for? We're not going to do that again now, are we?
this is right.
Yeah. No, I mean the najasa of blood back in year 3 or year 2. Find it and go back to it. Which year is it in? Year 2.
So
Go back. Go back and find it. Yeah, correct. Not everything which is haram is najis. But we don't want to go into that argument. Like I said, anyone who wants to revise, that's what the notes are there for, logical progression in it. Yeah? So, tell me, is that correct what I just said? Sorry, what I just quoted? That blood, because they call blood an organ, don't they? Isn't blood called an organ? Don't doctors call blood an organ? What is the actual classification of blood? Yani, can we say that I'm just saying, can we challenge that statement that was made? That blood is not a waste product, and blood is neither part of the body, that in that it is serviced by blood.
Blood carries waste products.
Okay.
There's nutrients and oxygen.
Yep.
Carries waste
It
products.
carries everything, but it's not a waste product.
It's not itself a waste product, it has waste.
Yep.
Waste product.
Likewise, it's not a nutrient or great, but it carries great stuff.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does carry
So
oxygen.
can we say that it is part of flesh, or it is organ, or it is part of an organ? If medically we can say that with confidence, then it would become pure anyway, because we've said anything that comes off a human body, whether internally or externally, then it is pure.
It's not part of the organ, but it is necessary to.
What's the largest organ in the body?
The blood is not a part, it is not a
Skin.
organ of the body.
Because that's one of those trivia questions.
Blood supplies the nutrients to the organ to remain alive.
Yep,
So without blood, the organ will
die. But it cannot be classed ever as an organ, yeah? Blood itself. Okay? That's why then Shaykh Uthaymeen says, وَلَكِنْ ذَهَبَ كَثِيرٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ. Many scholars, and that there's not many, and this is important for those who are reading Arabic and those who are studying yani, from the text as well, that when you see the statements that are mentioned by scholars, they're very accurate. وَلَكِنْ ذَهَبَ كَثِيرٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ. This means that many of the scholars, not the majority, many of the people of knowledge, they said no, blood is pure. Human blood is pure. Okay? They said إذا كان العدو لا ينجس بالبينونة فَالدَّمُ مِنْ بَابِ أَوْلَى. They said that if a limb itself, a limb or flesh that is cut off from a human body does not become impure when it is cut off, then how on earth can blood become impure? How on earth can blood become impure? Yani, there are, but those narrations are, they're not all weak.
Are they saying that it's, isn't the argument that it's impure in the original state, not when it's cut off?
No, they can't say that, because as Shaykh Uthaymeen then says in his next statement, وَلَيْسَ هُنَاكَ دَلِيلٌ عَلَى نَجَاسَةِ دَمِ الْآدَمِ, and there is not a evidence clear that makes human blood impure. That makes human blood impure. Except for what? Except for what? Nice trivia question. Come on, man.
Not to consume.
Easy. Human blood is pure except for menstrual blood. Menstrual blood. Or no. Or what cupping did you say? Postnatal. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, that's menstrual blood. Or this is important. Think about it, yani, logically. What do you reckon?
What, rectal bleeding?
Yeah. Blood which comes out of any of the two orifices. Now you've got to be careful here. Okay? Let's look at this carefully. There's a difference between blood from the two orifices and blood from an orifice. So for example, if someone has external hemorrhoids, okay, maybe not external hemorrhoids. Does that work, external hemorrhoids? Yeah, I'm talking fresh venous bleeding. In the case of a cut, I mean in men not so, but in women you'd get that. Fresh venous bleeding that's not actually coming from the urethra itself, but from another area in the vagina for some reason, or from male or female from the anus because there's a cut. It's not actually coming from the sabilain, the orifice inside, but at the edge. So I want you to differentiate between these two. You'd see that difference in the blood anyway. Any blood which is coming from inside is hardly ever going to be fresh red.
Can't fix.
Low enough.
Yeah.
If it's low enough. But there's that's the point. It's different, yani, with that which is yani, mixed into your feces or whatever, yani, which is coming from internally, which is showing something. That's najas, okay? From, as opposed to at the two orifices, back and front, if it's cut. Anyway, basic principle, human blood is pure, and unless it's menstrual or comes from the orifices. And again, as the Shaykh said, the reason that we are talking about this chapter in this kind of detail is because of what happens when you put it back. Okay? When you put it back or you find it. In blood, I think is obviously, but we're not focusing on blood.
But transfusion is the same thing, isn't it?
Go on.
Blood transfusion.
Yeah, oh, good, yeah, subhanAllah, good point. Yeah, blood, it does become irrelevant in transfusion. Unless it does, did you say?
No, in dialysis it purifies it and then goes back in. Clears away all the toxins from the blood.
What's that?
Dialysis.
Dialysis. Yeah, but remember, we're not talking physical purity. Yeah, we're not talking physical purity in terms of dialysis or whatever to clean the blood. We're talking about a hukam upon it, a ritual ruling upon it.
So to support the Sheikh's argument, can we use a hadith when, like, many companions like Umar himself, when, like, the arrow.
So many hadith. This, as I said, as the discussion concerning the purity of blood is a very well known one, classical difference of opinion, and it's in detail. That's why we covered it, I think, over 2 lessons as opposed to even 1. Okay.
So here we're trying to establish, like, how can it be impure?
No, we're establishing that it is absolutely pure. There's no reason to say it's pure, and that was the Sheikh's position from before as well. Okay, so yeah. Now I'm just thinking. Let's just answer some questions. So question is: so can small portions of menstrual blood be pardoned? Answer is no. Menstrual blood is najas, utterly and completely, and small amounts cannot be pardoned. Their classification of blood is from their aql. to make something najis there needs to be evidence. No, correct. That's absolutely right. You just can't say something is najis unless there is an absolute evidence. How would you quantify small amounts of blood? Small amounts of blood is what's understood by the norm, not a surgeon, and not someone who is squeamish. Okay? Yani a normal person looks at blood and says a small amount of blood, little patch, little dribble, whatever. Someone who's squeamish, they can't even see one side of blood, they lose it. And someone who's surgeon, guy's head's chopped off and he says, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought. Yani. You know what I mean? We can get through this, boys, okay, if you just hold it here and then we'll stitch up this side. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really care what you guys think. Yeah. So, the believer does not become filthy. Does this hadith extend to those who are not Muslims? So, for example, using a corneal graft from a deceased non-believer's body for the sake of restoration of sight in a patient who happens to be Muslim? Or is this hadith encompassing of mankind irrespective of faith? And that's a really good question. This hadith is not encompassing of mankind irrespective of faith. However, we know that the human body itself, okay, because this hadith is specific. This hadith is specifically about the mu'min, okay, but we know that the human body itself, the human body is pure, and so and when it comes to the ruling of transplantation or organ donation, or more importantly, blood transfusion, in your case, corneal graft, this is permissible. These are pure. These are pure. A corneal graft or another kind of form. The discussions concerning organ donation and all the difficulties around that are hardly ever related to the purity of the organ. It's all about the benefit and harm caused by the donation to the person and the one that it was coming from. Not, the scholars very quickly get over the purity issue. Because as I said, the majority of scholars, not the majority, but the contemporary scholars certainly consider blood and these things to be pure. So another question is, are animals the same in purity and sanctity whether it was alive or dead? So if you slaughter a cow, it is still pure. And if it dies naturally or it is attacked and becomes carrion, it is still pure? No, it's not pure. Once it becomes carrion, it is not pure. Okay? In the case of a person who has broken his wudu, then surely he has to perform a complete wudu. If the person hasn't washed his arm due to the najasa being visible or not, then are we saying he doesn't do tayammum or even wash that limb? No. If we're saying that a person, najasa is visible or not visible, the idea, let me just make this clear. If you've got najasa inside your body that you cannot remove, you carry on as normal, because removing it is going to cause a harm, unless it's not going to cause a harm. It's a small little thing operation and you pull it out and then that's it. Like, they do this all the time, don't they? These removal of screws and removal of X, removal of Y. So if things need to be removed, it gets removed. Okay? But if there's a harm that's going to affect the actual growth and, fixing, then you do not then remove it. Wudu carries on regardless. The issue concerning wudu and tayammum only comes into play if there's a threat or if there's a fear that you can't touch the actual area. So if you touch the area, then it's going to cause a problem. And it's sensitive or something.
Yeah, for this one,
yeah, go on.
Would that take the same ruling, like for example, a human being has feces inside him, so that's najasa, and that goes inside?
No. That the ruling of najasa being inside a person's stomach, like we mentioned 2 weeks ago, is not the same as this, because you introduced that on purpose yourself. It has to be removed. Okay? But the only time that we don't remove it is if it's going to cause greater harm. It's not going to fix it. And does Ibn Uthaymin literally mean that you find the dog alive and break its bone? He's asking that, okay, because he's reading the Arabic, and actually that is exactly what it says here. you gotta love Muslims and their attitude to dogs, man. Old school Muslims, especially in Arab countries. He actually says, so they looked around and they grabbed a dog and broke its bones to use. Sick. Next level, bro. I'm being advised to make sure that I eat in Manchester before I teach this weekend in Sheffield. I'm teaching Protect This House because there's nothing to eat there. So there you go. That's good. It's going to be a great weekend. Right. But anyway, that's an important point, because Protect This House is not taught anywhere. Okay, it's been taught in every city and it's not coming back anytime soon. So if you want to study that, obviously parenting and all the issues linked to that, Protect This House from Al Maghrib is this weekend in Sheffield, almaghrib.org/Sheffield. Okay, so that's this weekend. Any questions here?
Sheikh, with regards to the you mentioned about the believer's body is never najis.
Yeah,
Based on that, what answer did we get?
the hadith doesn't say that. Not the believer, but it says the believer does not become impure.
Yeah,
The believer is
okay.
not impure or become impure. Both of them imply.
Okay. So what do you say to people like who say that because of this you can touch the Quran without wudu?
Yeah, it is an argument. Yeah, but this is not one of the primary arguments, but it is an argument. Yeah.
Is that a jumhur? Is that like
No. No.
ijma on
It's
that?
a weak istidlal.
So
It's weak because you won't find any kind of scholar using this. You won't find a top scholar using this argument because no one said that the issue is about physical impurity. The touching of the Quran is a ritual issue.
because
A
on
person
the
can
side-
have the cleanest hand in the world, but if he's in a state of sexual impurity, then you're disrespecting the Quran because of the state you are in, not because of how clean your hand is.
So with this Sheikh, they're using another ayah, إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ نَجَسٌ, which
Yep.
is spiritually.
Yep,
So
correct,
they combine these two
Correct.
to use this argument.
correct.
So how do we? Because that's spiritual, that's physical.
You're stopping me eat my chocolate here, man.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, I don't know what's going on here. Back and forth. What happened, man? Just go to year 2, Yara, and you will absolutely knock yourself out on Najas issues, man. We've got so much Najas issues. Where am I eating in Sheffield? That's all I care about right now. Where? Who? Amigos. What is that? What kind of food? Amigos.
On London Road, there's loads of nice things.
On London Road.
London Road, yeah.
Don't say loads of nice places, because you know that I'll go to nice places and it'll be rubbish and I'll come for you next week.
Maybe nice Mexican food there. You like Mexican food?
Mexican.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so that's what you said, amigos.
Amigos, alright, yeah, that's nice. And the Wicker.
Baji knows, yeah. Baji knows everything, yeah.
The Wicker's good.
The who?
The Wicker is an area in Sheffield and they've got food places.
The Wicker.
Yeah.
Khalas. Any further questions? Mexican. Yep. Palmyra. It depends upon the animal. Ivory only come from an elephant? What's the rhino classified as?
It's all from the same keratin, from nails.
Keratin, yeah.
Imran's, that was it.
That's my guy, elephant. I'm telling you, wallah, today's written off. Yeah, sometimes you gotta write some lessons off. Come on, man, custom. Come on, man. I'm telling you, man. You see, people are just using me as an excuse. When people themselves don't want to be here, they're hungry, this, that, and I get blamed for it. You know me, I say no problem, I'll take one for the team. These are my boys. I'll front up public, I'll make everyone think it's all me that's lazy and not doing lesson. Actually, those guys behind the scenes, they're not interested. One little bit. Look at Abu Dhabi and what's he done? Nails and hair are not under the category of body. Remember we said that. Fur, hide, and so on and so forth. It does not come under the concept of, doesn't follow the ruling of a limb. Even now. Okay, yeah.
It's non-LP related.
It's what? Yeah, no, not LP. LP. Who did LP? Who cares about LP anyway? Yeah. Come on.
I wanted to ask about car leasing.
Who?
Leasing a car.
Oh yeah, car leasing, yeah.
Permissibility of it, non-permissibility.
In my opinion, car leasing is only permissible, in my opinion, fully permissible, I mean, where there's no one that's going to then disagree with it, if you can negotiate with them that they do not charge you a penalty for late payment.
And you can't negotiate that out.
If you can't negotiate that, and you negotiate it by giving 2 or 3 payments in advance, saying to them that if there's default, then you can pay. You can take that from that, and then if I don't default, then you just give it back to me. If you can't negotiate that, I think that we have a major problem. There are some scholars that said the penalty fee is not interest fee, but that's very weak. A penalty fee is.
Didn't you say that if
if it is something which is literally the cost of a letter and a secretary's hour, yeah, so like £20 of administration that you get charged because a person's had to write a letter, then it is. But I don't know of any penalty fee at the moment. It's at 20 quid. 50 quid is not a penalty fee.
Bro, that's not someone telling you to write a letter wasn't going to charge.
Shazad, yani, I'm telling you now, he charges £250 to write a letter.
Let back your account, that's enough.
Oh my days.
15 quid.
200, huh?
15 quid.
Penalty fee.
Also, you are. No, as in letter charge.
Oh. You're cheap, Yara. You're so cheap. So there are some scholars that say, and as Usman said, it does go into a subjective area. What is £50 and whatever? Usman, yani, he is. Usman is yani, speaking from one area. Young lad, new to the game. Whereas an old dog like me knows, yani, 50 quid. Those guys are having a laugh. They're paying that girl 7 quid. That letter costs absolute squat. And it's just an excuse for them to make money. When you've been involved in the banking system, yani, and the financial, I just want to tell him, 50 quid, are you kidding me, bro? Is that penalty fee reflective of the charge, or are they yani, saying eyes light up and saying bam, we're in it? No, on a serious note, Ajmal has had experience, he's in that game.
To get a chartered accountant to give us a certification of somebody's so-called income, they would charge whatever they want.
No, that's fine. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about people charging whatever they want for a letter. I'm saying that in a normal finance agreement, okay, from any agreements that you've seen, finance agreement for any kind of payment plan, for example, car leasing plan, which is interest-free over 4 years or whatever, okay, the fee that they charge for a late payment, they justify themselves, maybe in terms and conditions, as costs of the letter to warn you. I'm putting to you that what you've seen, does it genuinely represent the cost, or is it an opportunity to charge and basically it's just another charge on top of the loan? Yeah. And 50 quid is not representative of a charge. This is my opinion, and I am a cynic and whatever. I will say though that that it is subjective. I find it just a weak argument. This is not something you can say is absolutely agreed upon, completely haram. There will be people that will say, well, hold on, they'll use one emotional argument and one technical argument. The technical argument will be that no, we do pay our secretaries £20 an hour, and it's not 1 hour, but it's postage and 2 hours of work, and it's 50. But I don't even think that even the leasing company itself would even claim that. I don't even think that they would even try to justify it. Now, I'll tell you, the only people that ever used to justify this kind of thing were the Islamic purchase plan people. So, for example, if there was a Islamic financial institution that had loaned some money or were owed money in installment plans, they are the ones who are forced to try and justify, because the scholars who are certifying the product will not give it a Sharia compliant standard unless they do not charge any money, or they can justify to the penny exactly the charge or the cost to send the letter, or as a worst case scenario, which is number 3, and the justification for this was because if you don't have a penalty charge, then people become lazy, so they allowed them, as Mufti Taqi did, as reluctantly, £50 or £100, but it has to go to a charity. And not only does it have to go to a charity, so then what they did is they started making their own charities. Okay? And obviously a Muslim organization has lots of charities to give to or create, yani foundation, this foundation, that, you know. You know Shazad had his foundation, yeah?
Huh?
You don't have a foundation?
No.
You don't have a Shazad foundation? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, but
It's the AE fund. That's very different, brother. Like, can we just make that very clear? It's a very, very respectable charity, full of integrity and great reward. Anyway, keeping me happy, wallahi, so much reward in that. Buying me anything makes me happy. Look at this, all this teaching, that for free. Run on chocolate. But that's running out soon, by the way, because Banda is getting fit now. That's it. I can't be eating chocolates anymore. Now it's got to move into proper stuff.
With regards to the letter, usually they're chocolates anyway.
Huh? Yeah, like I said, it's just an argument.
It's
It's just something for them to say.
No, but what is the reasoning behind you saying that if they don't allow the penalty charge, then it's permissible to have on the basis of what? Because they're taking the milk or they're taking advantage of someone?
It's riba. It's riba. It's riba. Yeah. Why is the penalty charge haram? Because they have loaned you money or a value. Okay. So, for example, they've said to you that you're going to pay us. They say that the cost for leasing this car is £10,000, and you can pay it over 3 years. So you owe us £10,000 over 3 years, which equates to £300 a month. Yeah, £300 a month, and that's our installment plan. So now you owe the leasing company £300 a month. Because that was set from the beginning, agreed upon, this is a permissible loan. Because it's not a loan, it's against it's a lease, it's a hire, it's a service charge. When does it become a problem? Because you are owing this to them, any increase or variation in this then is seen as interest, because it's a benefit on a loan. You understand? If it was rent for 6 months and you signed an agreement that every 6 months we would review the market, and that's not how cars work. You don't see penalty charge in housing things, do you? Okay, so if it was 6 months and then we review the cost, it'd be something else. But because it's money that you owe for a period of time, every penalty charge is a increase upon what you agreed upon, which is therefore riba, which is therefore haram. So it's haram. Even the charges should not be added. That should be calculated beforehand. Do you get what I'm saying? People who want to charge £300 a month, at the beginning, if they are thinking that there's going to be some more admin costs, unexpected costs, then you make it £310 a month and you agreed it at the beginning, and that's completely permissible. So that's why it's actually, even from the beginning, to put the charge in is not right. The other scholars, they argued back and they said, well, hold on, if we allow this to slide, then people are going to become lazy, especially PAGs, and they're going to just start taking liberties and start frauding. So I personally agree with that. Yeah, any person living in the real world knows that, people do not pay. People leveraging themselves all the time. If they can get away with the payment, they'll get away with it. Yeah. So to hold them accountable, the scholars allowed them to pay a penalty charge, as long as that money then goes completely to charity and to not thinking. But only in extreme circumstances, because actually any charge, you're opening a door of real problems. We've got to try and avoid that. As I said, this is something quite difficult to fix when you're in the middle of a contract. I think when you're in the middle of a contract, you can continue. But if people want to take a lease car out and start one, I think you should be strict on it, and I think that you should use it as a negotiating tool. We've seen people who are, these people definitely want to give cars out. You become strict and you say, I'm not going to take it unless you actually, I'm not doing you out of pocket, I'm doing you actually mega in favor. I'm giving you 1 extra installment or 2 extra installments to keep on record, to take from, etc., etc. And if not, then you give it back. I don't pay you for the last 2 months of the.
Do you know any companies?
Shazad Salim.
Difficult to find the companies out there. It's not easy.
That's code for Bentley and Porsche. That's basically, he doesn't want to betray the kind of loan deals he's looking into.
I need to know the car.
Usman bhai? I know you are, because you're just a blag. Who's desperate to get rid of their lease cars and will accept the condition? Yeah. Interest free is not the problem here. The issue is who is willing to negotiate.
They do because they know that there was some business, so I'm sure they have something to
Audi, maybe.
both. Toyota, we looked at that.
Man, these people, they gussing, man. I remember the shart that if you did well, if you look like the gussing, man. There's a crazy comment on thingy. I'm not even gonna read it out. My best to being done. All right, guys, I've kept you long enough. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallah. Ilmfest.com,
Buy your tickets.
buy tickets.
It's selling out soon, bro.
Selling out soon. Ilmfest, Manchester, selling out soon. Thingy, also Blessed Voyage, December 25th, 21st. Blessed Voyage. That's going to be Umrah. I'm going to enjoy the Umrah. I'll tell you that much. Protect this house this weekend. Not being taught anywhere else, so remember that. Next weekend, nothing. The weekend after, fitna in Birmingham. As if there wasn't enough fitna in Birmingham anyway. But just add my own little bit of fitna to the existing fitna. And then Bristol the weekend after. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك اللهم وأتوب إليك.
Everybody that's here needs to